Good morning, everyone. Let us now begin with a prayer. I request Adina to present the prayer.
ॐ जगदीश्वर सदाभिचिन्मय जगदीश्वर वन्दे जगदीश्वर वन्दे ॐ परिपूजित परात्मरात्मा परात्मरात्मा अनवरदं वन्दे अनवरदं वन्दे अनवरदं वन्दे ॐ जगदीश्वर सदाभिचिन्मय जगदीश्वर वन्दे जगदीश्वर वन्दे
Thank you. So we move on to the next topic, which is a conversation again between Kannan and Priya. Do you remember them? Do you remember who these people are?
Yes, sir.
Yes, who are they? They are man and wife. അങ്ങനെയാണ് പറയാ ഇംഗ്ലീഷിൽ. They are man and wife. This is instead of saying husband and wife, this is more idiomatic usage. Okay, so it is from these conversations that we learn about what idiomatic usages are. So Kannan and Priya are man and wife. And Kannan, what is Kannan? So there is a difference between asking what is Kannan and who is Kannan. There is a major difference between what is Kannan and who is Kannan. What is the difference? Or is there any difference? Is there any difference between these two questions?
Sir,
Yes, Aisha, tell me.
actually doesn't have the meaning is same, but like what is Kannan means what is he doing?
Exactly. What is asking for the profession,
Who is Kannan is also
profession, a job, etc. That is what. Who is asking about relation, name of the person, etc. Name. Okay, so those things are who. When you talk about what, it is talking about the man's job, his profession, etc. So what is Kannan? Kannan is what is his job? He is an executive. That is his job. So when somebody asks me what is Kannan, I will tell him he is an executive. And somebody asks me who is Kannan, I will tell him that Kannan is the husband of Priya. So this is the difference. When I am asking what is Kannan, I am talking about his job, his profession. Whereas when I ask who is Kannan, I am talking about his position, his relation with somebody, or his identity, who can also be about the identity of the person. So he is working in a place that is his identity, is a worker there. In his home, he is his husband. With his children, he is his father. So who is this? Somebody asked me, he's my father. So that is the relationship. Okay, so this is the difference. when I ask. So when somebody asks me, who is your father? I'll tell him his name. Okay. But when somebody asks me, what is my father? Then I'll tell him his profession. So this is related to conversation. So we need to learn about how language is used in conversation. In fact, language is major purpose, major use of languages in conversation. ഭാഷയുടെ ഉപയോഗം തന്നെ സംസാരിക്കാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ടാണ്. അപ്പോൾ we have to be very clear on the kind of accurate usage. You cannot say that only this is correct, but there are some usages which are more acceptable. Such usages are called idiomatic usages. That is, some usages may be okay, but some usages are more acceptable. Such usages are called idiomatic usages. So we have to learn what are those such idiomatic usages which we can use in our language. So that is the purpose of introducing such conversations in the textbook. This is the last of such series of conversations that we have learned from the even from the previous text, that is English with Ease. We had some 3 or 4 conversations in that text, and we had continued that conversation. And this is the last of such series of conversations between these two people who talk in English at their home. This is one method of learning also. To learn a language, the best way is to use it. So there is a saying, use it or lose it. So this is as true of language or as of anything else. If you don't use something, you are likely to lose it. അപ്പോൾ നമുക്കൊക്കെ ഭാഷ അറിയാം. So if you want to, you understand what I'm saying, isn't it? Are you able to follow what I say? I'm speaking in English. Are you able to follow what I'm saying? Yes. So why are you able to follow what I'm saying? What is the reason? How are you able to follow what I'm saying? It is because the language is there. It is there in your mind, in your brain. Language is there. Language is actually there in our brain. That is why we are able to understand. But if, suppose if I start talking in some unknown language, if I talk in Japanese or Chinese or Spanish or German, we may not understand because that language is not there in my brain. We are able to understand English because that language is there in my brain. But why are we unable to speak? Many people who are able to listen and understand are unable to speak because what you practice, you are able to execute. So you have no practice in speaking. You have only practice in listening. So all these 4 language skills, which are the 4 language skills? Can you tell me which are the 4 language skills? The 4 language skills are actually interdependent. Which are these 4 language skills? Yes, reading, writing. 2 more. I don't know what it is. Speaking, and last one. Listening. Yes, Nakshatra, that's correct. So listening, it is shortly referred to as LSRW, that is listening, speaking, reading, and writing. And that is very important. We have to have all these 4 skills. ഏതെങ്കിലും ഒരു സ്കില്ല് മാത്രം വെച്ച് you cannot become an expert in the language. Even though I am using English, I am speaking English, my speaking of English is limited to the English classroom and also in some other official situations. So therefore, it is very difficult for me, even me, to keep up with the fluency in language. So there is something called fluency and accuracy. So these are 2 things which we have to develop in language usage. So accuracy can be learned, but fluency can only be practiced and acquired. Which is more important in this? Can you tell me which is more important in language use? These 2 കാര്യങ്ങളുണ്ട്, fluency and accuracy. Which is more important? Very good. Many people say that it is accuracy. And that is why we do not speak. Yes, accuracy. Yes, everybody says that it is accuracy in language that is required. In fact, if you look at the purpose of language, what is the purpose of language? Communication, exactly. It is communication. So, suppose I write a sentence like this. Do you understand what it means? Yes, you understand that I ate dosas for breakfast. So everybody understands it. So that communication has happened, but it is not accurate. So accuracy will happen only by frequent usage. Let us look at babies when they start speaking. Children, when they start speaking, they do not use accurate language. So if you insist on children to speak accurately, to use the correct language, even the mother tongue, when they start speaking, there are a lot of mistakes that babies make. And in fact, that is a cause of a lot of laughter in the house, a lot of joy in the house when the little babies make language mistakes. It is through these mistakes that the language is actually acquired by the children. In fact, so we have to correct this notion, we have to correct this thinking that accuracy is more important. So more important is not accuracy. What is more important? More important is fluency, because it is through fluency that we can acquire accuracy. In fact, language should focus on fluency. So let us forget all the mistakes that we are likely to make and grab as many opportunities as we can to speak the language. Well, so whenever we get an opportunity to speak the language, we should make use of it. Otherwise, what will happen is that we will speak less. In fact, there should be a balance between all these four skills: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. There should be a lot of balance between these two things. So if you, that is, everything should be practiced. If you stop practicing writing, your writing skills will reduce. If you stop practicing reading, your reading skills will reduce. If you stop practicing speaking, your speaking skills will be reduced. In fact, most of our students don't speak at all. It is because the reason is that they are afraid to speak. They are concerned more about accuracy. So we have to focus more on fluency. That is, we should start speaking even with a lot of mistakes. Are there any mistakes in the language that I am using? I'm speaking to you in English. Are there any mistakes in the language that I am using? Not maybe, yes. Not maybe, surely. Lot of mistakes are there. But what I do is I keep on speaking. So we have to keep on speaking. I am making mistakes. If you are not able to understand it, I am able to understand it. I am able to understand the kind of mistakes that I am making. So what I do is next time I use the same structure, I make a difference. So every time you may not be correct it and speaking, because language happens so fast that before you think about the next sentence, you have to speak the sentence. And there may be some errors, some subject verb agreement error may be there. There may be some wrong words which are used. So if I think about all these things, I cannot speak. I'm not preparing a speech and say, speech by heart words when you are talking offhand like this in a classroom. So this is not something that is prepared and spoken. So there may be many errors, but what we can do is once I have spoken the sentence, I understand that there is a kind of tense error that I made here. There is a kind of subject verb agreement error that I made here. There is a kind of wrong word usage that I made here. Such errors we will ourselves understand only when we start speaking. So unless we get into the water of language, we cannot start swimming in the language. So my request to every one of you is you have to say something, you have to speak something in the class. While the class is going on, you have to say something. First start typing some things in the chat box, then start speaking. And you can start conversations with your friends in English. Make a small group of yourselves and start speaking in English. You can use nowadays you have a lot of tools, online tools also. You can use WhatsApp. You can chat, record your talk in the WhatsApp, send it to your friend. The friend will send a recorded version to you. So in this way we can build language. And these two people in the house, they are elderly people, they are not students. They are speaking at home in English. അവർക്ക് mother tongue അവരുടെ mother tongue ഉണ്ടാവും. Whichever state they are from, they may have their own mother tongue, but they are speaking in English. Why? Not because of any hatred towards their mother tongue, but so that they may improve their language. So that is why Kannan and Priya are speaking in English. uh, Kannan has an interest in developing his English because Priya is an English teacher. So he thinks that when he speaks in English, he will be able to improve that language. So that is the background of this introduction of this conversation, series of conversations. I gave so much of a long introduction because this is the last conversation in the series. And I want to understand that this is very important for us to learn the kind of common errors in each conversation, in all these 6 conversations that we have learned so far, and in the 7th and last conversation that we are about to learn. We will encounter some very common errors that we make in the language. So even in Malayalam, we make many errors, but those errors are very less compared to the kind of errors that we make in English, because we use more of Malayalam and less of English. So if you can get more opportunities to speak in English, then that will definitely improve our language. So language is something that can only be improved by usage. If you use it more, we will be able to make it more and more better. So now let us come to the text. We will have 2 people to read it. Okay. Okay, we call upon the 2 Hridyas, Hridya Lakshmi and Hridya CS, to read the first paragraph. So read the conversation between Kannan and wife. Kannan has just returned home from work. So one person can be Kannan, the other can be Priya. Hridya Lakshmi and Hridya CS.
Hello, sir.
Yes, you are there. Hridya CS. Okay, both. Okay, okay, can read. Kannan has just returned home from work.
Kannan, why is the house so dark and stuffy? Will someone switch on the light and fan, please?
Priya, did you pay the electricity bill? Kannan, yesterday was the last day for payment.
Or not you switching on the light?
It has been paid.
The power supply to our house has been cut. That's why.
What? Who did what? That? Why did not you stop them?
It was done when no one was at home. Even if someone was ground, they couldn't have stopped the power supply being cut for non-payment of dues.
What's non-payment? But it has been paid yesterday.
It was paid yesterday. Could you tell me who paid it?
Kannan, my colleague, he was going to the EPT office to pay his bill. I request him to pay our bill too. Why should both of us waste our time queuing?
There you go. He must have conveniently forgotten to pay our bill. Why don't you make online payment if you are too busy to go to the electricity office?
It can't be done online.
It is a question or a statement. Of course, it can be paid online. I find it simpler, especially when you are away.
It can be done now.
No, it cannot be. Payment cannot be made online past the due date.
Oh God.
Oh God, then our water bill too can't be paid online.
What are you saying? You have not paid the water bill either.
The job was assigned to someone, but I am not sure if it has been done or not.
This is the height of negligence. How will you use English to escape blame? I am amazed.
I am glad you have finally acknowledged that my English is good. I will get some candles and order a can of water. I think we will need it.
Do you have any money? The shop person won't accept your credit card. He expects to he paid in cash.
I have cash.
I have some cash.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. So here Kannan has come back from home and the house is dark and stuffy. So dark is because there is no light. Stuffy is related to the air, atmosphere, etc. These are terms related to the air atmosphere because the fan has not been switched on. We say that the air is stuffy. So it is a kind of peculiar condition where you are unable to breathe properly. When you feel suffocation, then you say that the air is stuffy. Okay, so this is a kind of language usage related to the air, the condition of the air where you are not able to breathe properly. So why is there no power? It is because the electricity bill has not been paid and maybe the connection to the house has been disconnected. So that is the conversation happening here between Kannan and Priya. Uh, Priya is asking Kannan whether he paid the electricity bill. So the previous day was the last day for payment. And Kannan says it has been paid. Then Priya tells him that the power connection has been disconnected. It has been removed. Therefore, there is no power in the house. Then he further has to think about why the power connection has been cut. So she says it was done when no one was at home. Even if someone was around, they would have stopped. They couldn't have stopped the power supply being cut for non-payment of dues. use കൊടുക്കേണ്ട പൈസ കൊടുക്കാത്തത് കൊണ്ടാണ് പവർ സപ്ലൈ കട്ട് ചെയ്തത്. So even if someone was around, so this is a kind of idiom. When someone is around means ഇവിടെ ഉണ്ടാവുക, സ്ഥലത്തുണ്ടാവലാണ്. I am around എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഞാൻ ഇവിടെ ഈ പരിസരത്ത് തന്നെ ഉണ്ടെന്നാണ്. So someone is around means someone is there in or near the house. That is in the premises. So someone being around somewhere is an idiom which means to be in the premises. So that is the usage which means someone being around somewhere. So that is the meaning of this usage. That is to be in the premises. So even if someone is around, that is even if someone is there in the house, they would still have removed the power connection. Why? Because the power bill has not been paid out even after the due date. So we come to the first error that Kannan makes here. He says that it has been paid yesterday. So this is the first error that he makes, and Priya immediately corrects him. She says it was paid yesterday. What is the difference? What is the error? What is the kind of error? എന്ത് എററാണ് ഇവിടെ അയാൾ വരുത്തിയിട്ടുള്ളതെന്ന് പറയാൻ പറ്റും? What is the error that Kannan has made here in this sentence? He said it has been paid yesterday, but Priya is correcting him. She says it was paid yesterday. What is the error? Anybody? Exactly, it is a tense error. Yes, was paid yesterday an error. It is an error in tense. He is using past, present perfect with time. Okay, so he says it has been paid yesterday. So when we use perfect tense, we do not usually mention the time. For example, I say I have gone to Delhi. She has gone to Dubai. But when I say about time, then I say like this. So when you use time, you have to use the simple past tense. When you are not using the time, then you can use present perfect tense. You cannot use a combination of these two. You cannot say it has been paid and yesterday both together. Together they cannot be used. You have to either use it has been paid, or you have to use it was paid yesterday. So this is the correction that she makes, and this correction is because of the rule in the tense that when you use the present perfect tense, we should not mention the time. So if you have to mention the time, we have to use the simple past tense. There is another error that he makes in the next sentence. In fact, all the errors are not corrected by Priya, because if she keeps on correcting him, he will not be able to speak at all. So when you talk of cues, you do not queue at a place. You actually, when I talk about queue, I queued up at the. So there is always that is the usage. The phrase is queue up. Up is a preposition. So we use such a usage. So he should have actually said, why should both of us waste our time queuing up? Okay, so this is the correction for this sentence. He should have actually said, there should be an up at the end of the sentence. Then that sentence would be correct. So why should both of us waste our time queuing up? So queue, when you talk about it as a verb, it is used with the preposition up. So I queued up at the railway station, or we queued up at the railway station, or I queued up at the milk booth. Such prepositions are used to make the language more idiomatic. So നമ്മൾ ആക്യുറേറ്റ് എന്നും കൂടിയല്ല പറയാം, വി കോൾ ഇറ്റ് ഇഡിയോമാറ്റിക്. മറ്റേത് നമ്മൾ ആക്യുറേറ്റ് എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ മറ്റേത് ബാക്കിയുള്ളതൊക്കെ തെറ്റാന്നൊരു ഇത് വരും. തെറ്റൊന്നുമല്ല. ഇപ്പോൾ ഇവിടെ ക്യൂയിങ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ അതിൽ ഇറ്റ് ഇസ് നോട്ട്, വി കനോട്ട് സേ ദാറ്റ് ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് റോങ്, but it is not idiomatic. Idiomatic means the generally acceptable form of language is called idiomatic language. So that is why this is more preferable. This sentence would become more preferable than if he said, why should both of us waste our time queuing up? That would have been better. So that is the error. You can see that Priya does not correct that error. She just says, there you go. There you go here means again you are making a mistake. Da veendum. So there you go means she is not only referring to her language, she is also talking about the careless manner in which he handles the household affairs. Not only about the language, he is also talking about how he has not given proper care to pay the electricity bill. So she asks him, why didn't you make an online payment? If you can't go to the electricity office nowadays, most of the bills, അങ്ങനെയുള്ള ബിൽസ്, ഇലക്ട്രിസിറ്റി, ഗ്യാസ്, വാട്ടർ, ഇങ്ങനെയുള്ള ബിൽസിനെയൊക്കെ ഒരു കോമൺ ആയിട്ടൊരു പേര് പറയും. എന്ത് ബിൽസ് എന്നാണ് പറയുന്നത്? സച്ച് ടേംസ് ഷുഡ് ബി ലേൺഡ്. നമുക്ക് സ്ഥിരമായിട്ട് നമ്മൾ യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്ന ഫെസിലിറ്റീസ് ഉള്ള ബില്ലുകൾക്കൊരു കോമൺ ആയിട്ട് പേരുണ്ട്. What are they called? Electricity, gas, ഇന്റർനെറ്റ്, റെഗുലറായിട്ട് നമ്മൾ യൂസ് ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്ന ഫെസിലിറ്റീസിന് നടക്കുന്ന പേയ്മെൻറ്റ്സ്. ഇറ്റ് ഹാസ് ടു ബി മെയ്ഡ് ഇൻ റെഗുലർ ഇൻ്റർവെൽസ്. ഓക്കെ, ഡൊമസ്റ്റിക് ഇസ് acceptable. Domestic is correct. Domestic bills, that they are more commonly called utility bills. Utility എന്ന് വരാൻ കാരണം യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്നത് ആണ് യൂട്ടിലിറ്റി, വിച്ച് ഇസ് സംതിങ് ദാറ്റ് യു യൂസ്. അതിൽ നിന്ന് വന്നാണ് യൂസ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞതിൽ നിന്ന് വന്നപ്പോഴാണ് യൂട്ടിലിറ്റി ബിൽസ്. സംതിങ് ദാറ്റ് യു യൂസ് റെഗുലർലി and for that you make payment, that they are called utility bills. So utility bills are bills of electricity, cooking gas, water, etc. So most of these utility bills can be made online nowadays. So she is asking him, why didn't you make an online payment for the same? So the next error that Kannan makes is, it can't be done online. What is the error? നേരത്തെ നമ്മൾ പറഞ്ഞു it was a tense error. ഇവിടെ tense error അല്ല. This is a different kind of error. What kind of error is it? It can't be done online. What kind of error? He's asking, it can't be done online. He's asking Priya, what kind of error is it? എന്ത് തരം എററാണ്? I'm waiting for your responses. Yes, it is a question. It is a question. That's why Priya is asking, is it a question or a statement? Which means it is causing confusion. As long as a language does not make confusion, it is acceptable. But here it is making a confusion whether it is a question or a statement. That is why she is asking, is it a question or a statement? So this kind of error is an error in structure. Yes, it is an error in structure. It can be also called an error in syntax. Syntax normal. Syntax is word order. Syntax is word order. That is there is an order for the words when we make different kinds of sentences. So we had discussed that there are four kinds of sentences. Which are the four kinds of sentences? Four kinds of sentences are നാല് തരത്തിലുള്ള sentences ഉണ്ട് ലാംഗ്വേജിൽ ഇംഗ്ലീഷിൽ. Which are the four kinds of sentences? അസേർട്ടീവ്, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അതിന് പറയുന്ന പേര് വേറൊരു പേര്, സിമ്പിൾ ആയിട്ടുള്ള പേര് പ്ലെയിൻ സെന്റൻസസ്. അസേർട്ടീവ്, ഇംപെരേറ്റീവ്, രണ്ടെണ്ണമായി. ദർ ആർ ടു മോർ. ഇൻട്രോഗേറ്റീവ്, one more. Exclamatory. So these are the four types of sentences. Assertive sentences are also called plain statements or declarative statements. Okay, declarative statements. They are also called plain statements. They are another term is affirmative. So these are all one type of sentences. Like declarative sentences, plain statements, assertive sentences, affirmative sentences, they are all the same. And when you talk about imperative sentences can either be rendu tharathilavam. Imperative sentences, they can be they can be command or request. Okay, so if you make a command to somebody or if you make a request to somebody, they are called imperative statements. What are interrogative statements? Interrogative are those kind of questions which yeah, exactly. So interrogatives are asking questions. So, and what is exclamatory? Exclamatory are indicating sudden feelings or emotions. So that is these are the four kinds of sentences that we encounter in language. What differentiates these two, the four kinds of statements? It is the structure. It is the structure that determines what these kinds of statements are. It is the structure that indicates. The structure is also called the syntax. It is also called the word order. This is the order in the word, order in the sentence, order of the words in the sentence that determines the kind of sentence. So here, what is the order of sentence? It can't be done online. Is the structure of a sentence, a plain statement. It can't be done online എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. It is the structure of a plain statement. It is a statement. It is a statement structure. It is a statement structure. But that cannot be used as a question structure. It is a, just because you add a question mark, it doesn't become a question. അപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ ഒരു സെന്റൻസ് എഴുതിയിട്ട് ഒരു ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ മാർക്ക് ഇട്ട് അതങ്ങ് ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ ആയി മാറില്ല. So that is the basics of language learning. We have to change the order of the sentence. As I think Nakshatra pointed out it earlier, it should begin with an auxiliary verb or any auxiliary. You can begin, you can, or a question word. So, can it be done online, or can't it be done online, is the proper structure for a question. So the it should be after the auxiliary. It should come after the auxiliary. Then the structure is correct. Then the structure becomes that of a question. So it is the structure which determines whether something is a statement or a question. So if the structure is imperfect, then it can cause confusion in the listener. So language is used only for communication, but if the errors are so grave, so confusing, then the purpose of communication is also not served. That is why we should try to minimize the kinds of errors that we make. But minimizing the errors does not mean that we stop speaking. We have to keep on speaking. So this, we have to take inspiration from Kannan, because so even as he makes so many errors, he continues to speak the language. So just because we make a mistake, so when the teacher asks a question, you give an answer, that itself is great. Whether the answer is correct or not is secondary. You respond itself is a great thing. So we have to respond, we have to say something, we have to speak. Only then the language can be improved. Otherwise, you cannot just start speaking in front of the interview board. Interview board, you have to practice this. What is the venue? You don't get any separate venue for speaking. These are all the venues. These are all the avenues for speaking. We have to make use of such situations. So she is asking, is it a question or a statement? So she is actually correcting his language here. She is only then she is speaking about the payment of the bill. She is correcting his language. Again, he doesn't understand the error that he makes. He makes the same mistake again. He says it can't be done online now. So he makes the same mistake again. He repeats it. He says it can't be done online. I mean, it can be done now. So that is the next error that he makes. It can't be done now. It can be done now. That is the next error that he makes. So the same structural error is made. So what is the correct usage? If you correct this sentence, how will you write it? Correct ചെയ്ത് എങ്ങനെ എഴുതാൻ പറ്റുന്നത്? It should be, can it be done now? So the can should come in the beginning. Only then it becomes a sentence. It can be done now, then it is the structure of a statement, a plain statement. So it should be reversed. The auxiliary, or the helping word, can or in the auxiliary and a helping verb, that should come in the beginning of the sentence. Then it becomes the structure of a question. The next error is when you talk about negative things, then a water bill too can't be paid online is actually an idiomatic. There is an idiomatic error. Structurally, it is okay. Structurally, there is okay. It is okay, but there is an idiomatic error. Here, the usage of too is wrong. So too is used only when you talk about positive things. For example, you can say that You can say that the water bill too can be paid online. That can be said. See, this is correct usage. Then our water bill too can be paid online. But when you say can't, when you use negative, you cannot use to there. Then you have to use either. അതും പറ്റില്ല ഇതും പറ്റില്ല എന്നാണ്. So our water bill too can't be paid online should be corrected as then our water bill can't be paid online either. So that is this should have been the sentence that Kannan, this should have been said by Kannan. He should have said then our water bill too, instead of to he should use either at the end of the sentence. Then our water bill either can't be paid online or then our water bill can't be paid online either. So the either can come at the end of the sentence or after bill. Billinu shesham varam. So so these two are correct usages. Then our water bill can't be paid online either. Then our water bill either can't be paid online. So that is the next. This is because this is a negative sentence. When you talk about negative sentences, to is not used. To is used in positive sentences only. Okay. So she makes the correction. See, she makes the correct usage here. She is talking about a negative sentence. Haven't paid the water bill either. She does not say you haven't paid the water bill too. So either is used here because it is a negative sentence. Instead of using to, she has used either. But Kannan doesn't get the error. He doesn't understand the error. And she also doesn't explain that error except that she makes a correct usage. That is also a way of correcting others. When somebody makes some errors in language usage, you don't have to directly go and correct them. When you make correct usages, they are likely to pick up the correct usages from your speech. Okay, so that is also a method of conveying the language. When we ourselves make a lot of mistakes, we are not able to correct others. But if we are focusing on accurate usages of language, then we are likely to influence others because language is actually picked up from the atmosphere. When good language is there in the atmosphere, it is actually picked up by. That is how children also learn. As we talked about babies in the beginning, babies actually pick up the language. So this is a next idiom that is used by Priya. Height of negligence. Negligence. What is negligence? Negligence എന്താണ്? Negligence and the negligence. Hello. What is negligence? She is scolding her husband. Why is she scolding her husband?
ശ്രദ്ധയില്ലാതിരിക്കാന്നാണ് നെഗ്ലിജൻസ്.
ശ്രദ്ധയില്ലാതിരിക്കുന്നത്. കെയർലെസ്നെസ്. Exactly. അശ്രദ്ധ. So height of negligence. ഇതിലും അശ്രദ്ധ ആവാൻ പറ്റില്ല. എത്രയും അശ്രദ്ധയാണ്. കാരണം വെള്ളത്തിന്റെ പൈസ അടച്ചിട്ടില്ല, കറണ്ടിന്റെ പൈസ അടച്ചിട്ടില്ല. And then she is scolding him. She says, how well you use English. Yes, how well you use English to escape blame. So she is using an exclamatory sentence. How well you use English to escape blame. You are using English to escape blame. കുറ്റം മാറ്റാൻ വേണ്ടി വേറെ ആരെങ്കിലും തലയിലിടാൻ വേണ്ടി he is using English. I am amazed. I am surprised. Amazed means surprised. Then Kannan says, you finally accept that I am using good English. So avada she is not actually appreciating him. He thinks that Priya is appreciating his English. Priya is actually saying that you are using English to escape blame. So Kannan says, I am happy that you are said, finally acknowledged, agreed. Acknowledge means to agree. You have agreed that my English is good. So since we don't have electricity, he says, I will go and buy some candles. Some candles. That is wrong. Why is some candles wrong? Some candles wrong. Why is some candles wrong? അതൊന്നും കറക്റ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നില്ല പ്രിയ, കാരണം മുമ്പത്തെ കോൺവെർസേഷനിലൊക്കെ അത് കറക്റ്റ് ചെയ്തിട്ടുള്ളതാണ്. ദാറ്റ് ഇസ് വൈ പ്രിയ ഇസ് നോട്ട് കറക്റ്റിംഗ് ഹിം. Why is some candles wrong? What is the correct usage? A few candles or a couple of candles or a dozen candles. Why is some candles wrong? Because some is something that we use with ഇതിൻ്റെ കൂടെ യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്നതാണ് uncountable or yes non-count nouns like sugar. Uncountable or non-count nouns like sugar, salt, etc. we use some, but here we cannot use some. So that is the error that he makes. So the last error, he repeats the mistake of count and non-count. When you talk about cash is a non-count quantity, whereas money is count quantity. Okay, money is count, cash is non-count. Okay, so this is the peculiarity in language. So he says, I have cash. So he should have said, I have some cash. So even money sometimes becomes non-count, where you say that I have some money. You can say that you have some money. But in terms of currency, a few notes, then it becomes count. Okay, a few notes, a 1 rupee note, etc. Then it becomes a count quantity. So he says, I have cash. I have some cash. There should be a determiner. So it is called a determiner. There is some sugar in the bottle. Some, few, a little, many. These are all determiners. So such determiners should be used before cash, and that is the error that he makes. Okay, so we came across errors in structure. Okay, these are the kinds of errors that we came across in language usage. He made a tense errors in the beginning. He made some errors in the tense. When he talked about it has been paid yesterday, then he made some errors in the structure of the language. It can't be done online. And then he used some idiomatic errors. Instead of saying water bill either, he said, I haven't paid the water bill too. So that these are the errors. And finally, he makes some error of count and non-count nouns. So there are some nouns which are countable. There are some which are not countable. So instead of saying some candles, you should have said a couple of candles, 2 candles, 1 candle, etc. So we will discuss those errors and their grammar rules in the next class. We will stop here and continue in the next class. Thank you for joining. Goodbye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.